Hi, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be a guest speaker for you here in Kazakhstan. There are still many things limited to do due to the pandemic situation. You may be almost in the same situation under some kind of a quarantine regime. I hope soon everything will be back to normal state. Today I brought topic to discuss with you vulnerable civilization and global issues in the context of Eurasia community. Here are two issues I chose that strongly have been debated at the global level, such as climate change and censorship. You may be familiar with the term global warming. With this issue, there are strong opposite stories being contested. With the issue of censorship, traditionally and historically, censorship had been exercised by authoritarian power, dictator, or by the power elite. However, now we are facing other kinds of censorship in this era. For example, big tech and big media are becoming so powerful and they are censoring people. We will see. Before we get started with the main topic, I would like to mention a little about idea and philosophy of Eurasia Foundation. There are rights and values that never be alienable, never be transferable, and that we never give up, such as freedom, autonomy, and human rights. However, in reality, there are many kinds of unhappy things going on this globe. Many people are sacrificed under the violent circumstances, and still many people are dying of starvation. At this moment, we are suffering from the viral pandemic. The worst thing is that we don't know yet what happened in Wuhan, where the virus occurred. There are also risks that are threatening humanity, such as man-made mass destructive weapons, nuclear weapon, biological weapon, and strong AI. AI is called superhuman. Why is it a superhuman? There is a terminology in singularity. Singularity is the point that machine intellect transcends the total sum of human intellect. According to scientists, soon we'll face that the most like a powerful robot. With this strong robot, there are pessimists, and at the same time, there are optimists in the professional field. It means our future seems so uncertain with this strong robot. This diagram says about the vision of the foundation. In 2009, the foundation was established through project activities such as having this kind of course of Eurasian community. The foundation pursues to continue to build a peaceful and harmonious global community. This is the official homepage of Eurasia Foundation. There are 460 universities are attending at this project in over 55 countries. If if you want to get more information about the foundations, please, go into this official homepage. Okay, this is, the class of Eurasian community in Naranjo's University. Here is UCM. I several times visited Madrid, the UCM. I really enjoyed much there. Here is Jawaharlal Nehru University in India. And every year there is a huge scale of a convention. About more 600, 700 professors, are attending together. Okay. Do you know who this man is? He is Asian, he is Japanese, he is Korean Japanese, chairman of the foundation. When you get to know about his personal history, why he established the foundation, that is a non-profit organization, you will understand more about the idea of this project. Who are they? Maybe many of you know it is a group singer BTS. Why are they here? There is a good example of something with them that shows well the relation between Korea and Japan. Let's see what it is. This is Jimin, who is wearing white t-shirts. On the back side of this t-shirts, could you read this? There is a liberation, our history and patriotism, and this kind of. Right side here is a small picture. It is a atomic bomb in Hiroshima. And these small pictures, they're Koreans. What do? They are shouting out, "Oh, finally we got the independence from Japan." In fact, there is some extreme rightist group in Japan who used to express anti-Korean emotion. These people made a strong noise when they saw this Jimin's shirt through the internet. The wearing shirts happening became a scandal. So all events and concerts by BTS in Japan were cancelled. Why it should be scandal? Korea had been colonized for 36 years until the end of Second World War. So the end of Second World War has two opposite meanings. For Japan, they were defeated and lost all colonies. Otherwise, Koreans were liberated. Since then, how many years have passed? However, still, there are some issues not solved yet. They remained on the table in diplomatic relations between Korea and Japan. Those are from the legacy of colonization history, such as the matter of many Korean labor who were sacrificed during war. And also there are Korean sexual comfort women who mobilized into the battlefield to support Japanese soldiers. However, the biggest obstacle between the two countries is that Japanese government has attempted to cover their history. Historical truth should be exposed. It is a big lesson to keep this from happening again. Young people should know true history. Through this, the two countries will be able to move forward, I think. Now in Japan, about 1 million Koreans are living there. Right after the end of the war, many Koreans returned to the mother country, Korean Peninsula. Many of them remained in Japan. Grandfather of Yoji Sato, chairman of the foundations, were one of them. Whenever there are some noise between the two countries, Koreans in Japan felt so uncomfortable. Yoji Sato, since his childhood, he was thinking about the relation. His business was successful. He was getting, rich man. He tried to find out a way to contribute to the two countries as well as Asian countries, making a study group, inviting famous philosophers in the world. He studied and he finally got the idea to realize his dream. That is why he established the foundation and now why we are here. Through this project, the foundation philosophy is expanding to all over the world with hundreds of universities now. Let's move on to the main topic. Along with the matter of climate change, the two documentaries released through the media. Many of you maybe watched this documentary, An Inconvenient Truth by the former Vice President of US, Al Gore, in 2006. The global warming story started from this documentary, but a year after, there was another documentary released through BBC. It was The Great Global Warming Swindle in 2007 that completely opposed the logic of global warming. This documentary considered global warming as a climate gate. Through this documentary, some problems of scientific evidence in the global warming were exposed. Based on the global warming theory, the only planet for all creatures, the Earth is melting. The number of bear population is decreasing in North Pole. Here is the girl who is very familiar to us, Greta Thunberg. She frequently shows up on the public stage and speaking out with a loud voice supporting global warming. There was an international agreement, Paris Agreement, in 2015. This agreement is to regulate to use the conventional form of fuel resources. It considers that this way can make amount of carbon dioxide emitted down and can prevent the greenhouse effect that leads to increased world temperature. Let's see the opposite picture against global warming. Here are some evidence against that of global warming. For example, look at this world temperature for 120 years ago. There is an interesting period here. It is just right after Second World War. There is no doubt that there was a mass destruction due to the war, almost the whole of the world. And right after the end of the war, there was a strong booming of industrialization on this globe. It means that in this period, world temperature should have increased, but rather it decreased. And here is the right side graph shows that in the more bigger pictures, here is a medieval warm period here, and now we are here. the temperature is going up now. So always world temperature up and down repeatedly in big picture. So through this evidence, when we see the world temperature from the long period, in this era, increasing temperature is in the natural cycle. This is the sun. There is a sunspot. Around the sunspot, sometimes calm, sometimes very active, with big exploding. It is called sun flares. Look at this graph, the relation between world temperature and solar activity for 400 years. Red line refers to solar activity and blue line is world temperature. So world temperature, following the solar activity. And this 20th century graph of the relation also it shows the same way. Now we can make it clear the right order of relation among sun's activity, world temperature, and amount of carbon dioxide. When in sun there are strong sun flares, world temperature goes up, then the amount of carbon dioxide increases. This is the right order of the relation of three phenomena. There are some other rising factors of carbon dioxide, such as volcano and bacterial activity and ocean. When volcano, explodes, then, it produces a lot of CO2. Due to this counter-proof against global warming, in natural science field, there is a tendency that scientists don't use the term global warming anymore, but we are still using that term. So the scientists at the side of global warming, they accepted there were some mistakes in their evidence, and they announced this. However, around this issue, still there are strong conflictual debates on the matter of climate change. Among many voices and much noises against global warming, it is said the Paris Agreement agenda would be only for some profit group. So now we'd better look at something behind this issue. It would make us to see a bigger picture of the issue, looking at some context behind. For example, getting research funding by international organizations, state governments, or multinational enterprise could be a big business. We can imagine that research results could come out in favor of a fund provider. Also, around this fund, not only natural scientists have been working with, but also scientists in other fields, lobbyists, journalists, politicians have connected with this project. From this, we learn that research evidence announced are not always objective results. There could be power and money game along with the climate change issue. Please notice that I don't mean all evidence is not reliable. The most important thing is that we need to know the truth. I can say I'm a kind of environmentalist from this aspect that I totally agree with that we continuously make efforts to preserve our natural environment of the earth. Our own earth is getting polluted much. Please look at this picture. This is Asian, the Pacific Ocean. Here are a lot of, the yellow spots here. Where are they? They are trash land. We are having the polluted sea products, fishes and seaweeds. Our body is getting polluted with some kind of microplastic material and some chemicals. And here is air pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution. They are getting so serious, and there is no doubt about this. However, the story of global warming is different. It is a different story. Okay, let's move on. The next matter, censorship. There is a big brother. Who is big brother? Who take cares younger brother? No. His character in the novel 1984 by George Orwell. His character of a totalitarian who has total power for his own sake. It shows a kind of dystopian society, just like a former Soviet society under Stalinism and society under the Nazi regime. Here in Kazakhstan, they got the independence in 1991 from Soviet Union. I have learned much about how many people were suffering from the repression, grave prayers under the Stalinism. I have studied a lot about the here local Koreans, here. Why they are here? They were, the forcefully, displaced, from Far East to Central Asia here under the Stalinism. I can imagine people's miserable life in that period. Now we are facing different kind of big brother and different kind of censorship by big tech and big media. What is big tech? It is a gigantic private enterprise with the information technology such as SNS phone, Twitter, Facebook, Google, Apple, and Amazon, and so on, that are so we dependent in our everyday life. Big tech became so powerful, they merge and monopolize growing small info tech company. They are just an online platform in which people share information and communicate each other. However, big techs blast and block people's accounts that show political orientation not in favor of theirs. In fact, they are not news agencies, not publishers, but they are censoring people. They are violating people's freedom of speech. How about big media now? What is big media? They're in US, CNN, CBC, CNBC, Washington Post or New York Times, and so on. The problem is that mainstream media, this kind, supports only one political, ideology in US. Recent statistics have shown that people's credibility on the media is going to bottom level. There are several minor media such as Epoch Times, News Matters, and OAN, and so on in US, but many countries are repeating the releasing news only from mainstream media of US. For example, in Korea and Kazakhstan, they are good example that follow mainstream media of US. However, at the same time, many people are awakening about limit of speech freedom, attack and censorship by big tech and big media. The term tech oligarchs, media elite are spreading out. People are becoming familiar to use these terms. Let's see some examples. People are encountering a chaotic moment in online from sudden suspension of their accounts by big tech such as Facebook and Twitter. Since presidential election up to now in US, Trump, who had millions of followers and his supporters, have been deprived of freedom of speech. Let's see recent reaction to that. The relation between Merkel and Trump had not been good. However, Merkel expressed that she was against Twitter's suspension on Trump. Macron did the same. And people started to notice that these things would not matter only for Trump. They are matters of entrenchment of speech freedom. People get, no, big tech can do this to anyone. We can be a target to be attacked. There is a term, cancel culture. Cancel culture has been weaponized. This is a popular practice and a kind of group shaming. If you speak out something that is considered objectionable or offensive, then you may be in big trouble, being forced you to be out of the community and being forced you to keep silence. Let me give you examples. There is a popular celebrity actress, Gina Carano. She expressed that the election should be done in fair way. There was a presidential election in US. She exposed her political orientation in the public, supporting Trump during the election campaign. Then she was dropped from Mandalorian that is popular in Netflix. Finally, she was fired from Disney. This kind of case are many to public figures, professors, politicians, journalists, and news anchor. It is totally against liberalism. Recently, several internal meetings from media and big tech were uncovered by internal whistleblowers. For example, CNN and Facebook and Twitter. At their meetings, they were designing strategies for how to drive President candidate Trump into a bad person and to wrap him up with a bad image. These are good examples of cancel culture that boycotted the public figures. Can you imagine that statistics and public opinion could be manipulated? Recently, CDC, a chronic disease center, it's a governmental organization in the US. It was accused due to the inflation of COVID-19 fatality rate. Another case is that death rate rather was cut down by state governor, New York Governor Cuomo, who was considered as a model in managing pandemic situation well. Now he is accused due to cutting down the death rate of elder Americans in nursing home. Why do they do that? Both above cases led to raise us to two questions as reasonable doubts. There may be political reason and economic benefit. Is there any cartel of corrupt politicians and industry or money power? Let's think about this way. Announcement of increasing fatality rate of COVID-19 could promote public fear. People are terrified. It justifies lockdown and control. We have witnessed how many people in China have been treated under the censorship in the name of quarantine action. There is a strong criticism in Korea too. The Moon administration completely used the quarantine regime politically, forcing people to keep silence and banning rallies against the Moon. With consideration of benefit group, through making people tremble in fear, manipulating petulate, there could be a big business related with this farm industry. In this regard, COVID-19 situation seems to be a site of money gain and political gain. What would you do if COVID-19 is bioengineered? The voice from science research that is bioengineered is increasing. Many of you may know that international investigation team was deployed into the Wuhan. However, it was not successful because Chinese government limited them to access into places where considered the firstly occurred in Wuhan. What was happening? It should be revealed. The truth should be exposed until there is no doubt. Here are some good news, optimistic. The number of countries there is fighting against the censorship by big tech is increasing. For example, Florida State in US and Poland, Australia, and other many countries are ready to impose big penalty really for each case of censoring. Now India is also ready to suspend global big tech in Indian society. I see this is a big step forward to defending our freedom, and we need to keep watching this. I may conclude my lecture under the flood of information in this digital era. For us, it is difficult to figure out who is telling the truth, who is lying. The power invisible who tries to censor people could be so powerful, corrupt, and they try to brainwash people in many smart ways using many kinds of means, such as extreme political correctness and cancel culture, manipulation public opinion, statistics. You are not always able to notice the authenticity of information just by something being exposed outside. I may give you some suggestion that could help you to be able to have a balanced view to the issues above mentioned. You question what the intention of the censorship would be. You question who would get the benefit by conducting censoring. You see who is the corrupt and hypocritical. You see who is the money and power oriented. You see who disregards human dignity. keeping silence on even ongoing human genocide. You look at various information sources. Do not ignore minor medias. Some of them may be authentic medias, even they are not powerful. At the same time, I recommend you when you look at the issues, you need to check yourself whether you have been brainwashed by something or not, and what color ranges you are wearing to see them. Let's move on the last slide. We all share some responsibility for the issues above mentioned that are affecting our quality of life and survival, as well as the fate of our community, human community. Through being able to have a balanced view to see them, each of you could be wiser, more knowledgeable, more dependent, more autonomous. Like this, the awakened individual together can function a monitoring system and purifying system against the power who have bad intentions to the people in our society. I can say this is a way to contribute to build a human community in which we prepare to live. That's all I have. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please let me know through Professor Lopez Varela Asuncion. I hope all of you keep safe and